before the storm.
Okay, apparently my camera has decided to not work, but anyways, there it is. Okay. Welcome everyone, welcome to another round of the Nürburgring eSports Championships. This time around we are in Portugal at Portimão for a beautiful GT3 and TCR showdown. I'm beyond excited, I hope you guys are as well. And let's have a look at how these standings are before we get going. Fair to say that obviously we've got a long way to go. It's race number 5, after we've obviously had a little bit of a extra round, kind of, as Red Bull Ring was moved over to a later date and kind of replayed. But we are past the halfway point of the season now, obviously with a finals at the Nordschleife, which will be all the more exciting. But for now, let's have a look at the standings in the fastest class, the GT3s. We have Maximilian Rorik, we have Sebastian Haase in second, followed by Jonathan Fidelek. Then we have Siska, Dewald, Lutterbeck, Schön, Schnutken, Bauer, and Griese in P10. The only Dutchman in this field, obviously, is half German, half Dutch. So, yeah, obviously, it has to do me proud as a Dutchie myself. In the TCR class, it is obvious that Fabian Klein currently is the man to beat. We have two Swiss drivers, Alex Haag and Christian Schreiber, who are currently tied for third position. Just in front of them is Alexander Eben. And then we have Werner, Jant, Nisch, Benjamin Fidelak, Vomaro, and Schmitz in P10. So the race is about to start. Just give us a couple of minutes. So let's have a look at the trailer for the Beast before we get going. Right, and here we are then, underway with the qualifying session. Obviously, very exciting stuff ahead here. And yeah, you need to keep in mind that first out we have the slower class. We have the TCRs after 15 minutes to jump into GT3s, so they can get the warm-up in, and a little bit later on it will be actually the other way. It will be just the GT3s on track. So yeah, exciting stuff ahead here, I must say. Let's see how the times come through. We're watching Benjamin Villak currently in P5, but I think projected to go to the top based off his current lap time. But yeah, still got a long way to go there. Keep in mind that these are only the outlaps coming in, so we might just, you know, require a little bit more. Now it does appear that the sound's gone out. Now it's back, so that's good. Obviously, I'm relying on a clean feed from the production here, so don't mind if that sometimes goes a little bit wrong sometimes. But yeah, here we are. And excitingly enough, it's also, I think, good to see just how this track will fare for most of the drivers. Not an easy track. I drove this on another game the other day. I drove this on Le Mans Ultimate in the LMP3, which was a really nice experience. It's really a nice track once you get the hang of it, but if you get it wrong, and especially in those rear-wheel drive cars, you get it very, very wrong. And I think that's kind of what will catch a handful of GT3 drivers out. Obviously, you have all those driver's assists here. Let's see where Benjamin Villak ends up. I have a feeling he's going to go to first position here. Well, we're just about not allowed to see the finish of the lap there. More times will come in here, yeah, and indeed it will be Benjamin Villak fastest, but he was also the first one across the line, so it doesn't really say that much here. 25 minutes to go, first 5 minutes have passed. All the TCR drivers, which is always a nice field that is filled with quite a bit of variety too, trying to make whatever they can work, and they're doing an absolute massive job at it right now. So let's keep it all going. We've got a long way to go still, and everybody knows this, so need to try and take it easy. And so far, I must say, so good. Alexander Erben in P3, but more times will come in the Honda Civic. Fabian Klein once again takes provisional pole for now, but obviously we've got a long way to go. So yeah, first 5 minutes have passed, and obviously this one is the man to beat. He's been fastest basically the entire season, and he has no signs of slowing down at all. So we'll see what he can deliver this time around on this very usually warm and sunny Portuguese track, and I think also might just be the most beautiful tracks out there. Look at the lock of smoke there. It's time to start improving. We're currently setting 154 as fastest times. As Christian Schreiber is currently in second, just about a second short when it comes to the lap time here. So he's going to try his best. Fabian Klein here is trying to make the most of it work, and when they do so, I think they'll make sure to get to the bottom of it. And now, as it stands, this man is once again the one to beat, and I think that won't change for a long time. But we have Ingo Werner here on a really good lap. Currently, based off the Delta, might finish just in between Christian Schreiber and Fabian Klein, so pushing himself up to P2 if he keeps up this lap. This is Alexander Erben, and indeed we will see Ingo Werner end up there. And now let's see how Alexander Erben does it from the Koblenz cafe he's going. So we've got quite a few Nürburgring eSports cafes, or bars if I can call them that, and well, always the Koblenz one is one that's very busy. It's one of the bigger ones out there that we do have. Obviously it's limited spots, with the Nürburgring one obviously being a very big one, but maybe less accessible for the people not from the Eifel region, and the other ones are in major cities across both Germany and Switzerland. And I'm just still waiting till they decide, you know what, we want to break it to the Dutch market, because I'd love to visit sometime. And maybe one day I'll head over there. That would be a very fun experience to do some broadcasting from there. It would most definitely be cool. For now, we're focusing up on this remote broadcast here. We've still seen some drivers joining in. Florian is currently in P6. I'm looking to see if he could maybe beat his lap time and get just up a little bit quicker there. With just about a little bit more than 6 minutes to get those GT3s out there. And the second they do, it will become very difficult for the TCRs to really get further. So yeah, it won't be easy. But I think for now the focus is just up your own lap times. You're not really worried about those GT3s, and maybe if you can get a clean lap in with a little bit of slipstream on the main straight or so, it could on paper help you, but in practice it almost never does. And you know, with just 9 cars out there in the GTR class, by far the smaller class, I mean, we've got 30 plus drivers out here. It's never easy. Actually, we do have 2 drivers who haven't set a valid lap yet, so therefore it's actually a little bit more than that. But yeah, it is the smaller class, and one that is currently being dominated by Fabian Klein, who's once again on provisional pole and set that 154 for 33 lap, and since then nobody's been able to beat it, not even himself. And Ingo Werner's gotten a little bit closer than Christian Schreiber has, but still is 8/10 off the pace, which is just honestly incredible. And this is the man that usually does it. It's kind of really cool to see, in my opinion, what he can do when he's just always been one of the drivers to watch, in my humble opinion. Christian Schreiber still out there, trying to make the most out of it, of course. And definitely some fast drivers. Obviously, it's still all to play for this season. You never know, especially if Fabian Klein were to miss around. But even then, the battle for P2, the battle for P3, that turned out pretty well, I'd say. As we go off it here. And now we obviously see the green flag coming out first, and yeah, it took a while. It was on red, of course, a lot before that. Felix Safeld also being one of the drivers to watch this time around. Now, he's from the Cologne, which is one of the smaller eSports bars that we have. As he goes, time is ticking away here, and we're about to unleash those beautiful GT3 machines. Everybody's bound to get at least one more lap in here. Though I say so, actually it looks like they've been released a little bit earlier this time, and there they are. The GT3s are out on track, which will just make it even more difficult. As we look to go into it around Christian Schreiber, not to make the most out of it. And now, yeah, as those last laps come in, we have the GT3s out. We're soon going to see all those drivers come up. Leonard from Canal was very late out on track, but he's actually set himself up to P6, which will give him some hope, hopefully. in a race like this, which is not going to be an easy one at all. They know this too, so let's make sure that they make the most of it. Fabian Klein still the man to beat in the TCR class. I don't think that is anything short of what we were predicting from them the other day. I mean, it just shows that this man is consistently one of the best drivers out there in this class, and there's a good chance that whatever class he's joining up next season that we're going to see a similar result. But you never know, nothing's guaranteed, and these drivers know that too. So as we go into it again, safe to say that we're making the most out of it, of course. Now that the GT3s are out, let's see what those first laps will be like. Obviously, they're going to be significantly faster than these slower front-wheel drive TCR cars. They have also gotten a fair share of assists. Now with the TCRs leaving the track, they're soon going to be in clean air with a handful of drivers still in the pit to begin with. Patrick Siska, Daniele Gattani, Andre Hennis, to name a few, but also Max Grenzner still is there. Alexander Erben thinks that this Honda Civic is a two-wheeler by the looks of it. So Max Griese de Blauw is trying to see what he can do. He's the first one to set out the lap. Currently, obviously, he's got a long way to go in the championship. He has missed a handful of rounds. You can also check out the standings, by the way, on the website of Nürburgring eSports if you haven't already. That will really put things into perspective for you. See how everybody scored on those individual rounds, if they have scored points at least. Everybody's still got a long way to go. Obviously, these kind of qualifying sessions, they always take rather long, and need to try and make the most out of it. Now you can see that Max Griese de Blauw is kind of slowing down the order a little bit. He's falling behind, and I think it makes sense. You know, there are some drivers out there that I would consider to be definitely faster than him. More and more TCRs now joining into the pits, and we see drivers like Fabian Klein drop, not because they're driving bad laps, it's just that the other cars are way quicker. So far, having succeeded in exactly that, all seems good, and now you just see the speed difference between those Lexus and those Cupras. I think the Lexus obviously still the longest standing GT3 car that is raced within the current regulations. Curious if we're gonna see a mid-season or maybe next season addition to the roster with the new Lamborghini out there. Obviously, the Lamborghini not really shown that much on track here. Sure, there's two on track this time around, I believe, and indeed that is the case. It's mainly got to do with the fact that, you know, the new cars coming out, it's the Temerario GT3, which has actually scored its first DTM win recently. The DTM, having released their calendars, made some interesting changes in terms of the timing of events. They've had to Zandvoort later in the season than they did before, and I think that's got to do with the fact that we've got Formula E coming in. And together with that, we obviously have the events coming in with that too. And interestingly enough, DTM has decided, you know what, we're going to move that just down the order a little bit here, and it's going to be, for me at least, an interesting to watch event. And you know what I wanted to point out on that too is that, you know, the DTM obviously still trying to present itself as more of a premium series, but they drive those beautiful GT3 machines out there, and then you've got the support series, which are always great. perhaps including maybe the new German Formula 4 Championship. That would be exciting. So that's enough, I think, of real-life racing now. Let's have a look at how the laps are going at it right now. It is currently Sebastian Haas who's quickest, followed by Norbert De Wild and Michael Bauer right now, the driver that we're currently aboard with in the Lexus. As you can see, they're doing times that are roughly 10 seconds quicker, or actually even a little bit more. Exit didn't feel so great there for Michael Bauer. You've still got these slower TCRs out there on track. Have a look at that. And yeah, of course they're gonna have to come in, but he probably just about started the snap on time. And yeah, this is tricky. Oh, that's sketchy for Michael Bauer, and that's kind of already ruining your lap to begin with. I assume that the TCRs would have been called in by now, but having continued all the way, it's Michael Silbernagel who's gone fastest now. Sebastian Haas obviously looking to take that back. He's currently about to set a delta that is almost half a second quicker than his previous lap. So they're going to chip away at each other. Just see where the absolute limit is. And when they get there, safe to say that they're also going to try and go over it at some point. Just need to try and make the most out of it. Now as we look to go, Kylian Lutterbach currently fastest in there, and yeah, with that Lambo, that obviously that old Lambo that probably won't be seeing much more after this season. It's completely out there, but let's see what it brings. But just listen to that engine noise. It's such a distinctive noise from that Lamborghini, obviously. The one that you hear quite often. Miss Maxinis still out there, and he's got a box now with the TCR car still out there. Kylian Lutterbach is obviously also a driver that does really well, and you know, with Sebastian Haas only being, you know, a little bit over a 10th off, it's not like it hasn't been close, because it really has. Obviously they want to try and make the most out of it. Let's see if they actually can though. Looking to come out to Kylian Lutterbach, obviously trying to make the most out of it. Time ticking away, or just a little bit over 7.5 minutes to go. Now as we look to see Norbert De Wild here in P3. He's one of the faster drivers out there. He's up to 40 quick BMW M4 GT3 in a car that is praised for its handling by some, but also despised by others, so quite interesting to see what that does. Now, as they look to come out there, Wild still fourth right now. Obviously, we do see that Kylian Lutterbach, Sebastian Haas are putting up the pace as much as they can. Wild here in P5, just trying to make the most out of it here, but what else can they do? Norbert D. Wild goes fastest provisionally, improving that time by less than a tenth of a second, which just shows how incredibly tight the margins are right now in this top class that we have. Obviously, it was the slowest class in the previous seasons, where we were having those hypercars out there on track, which I think were very spectacular, but also definitely a different beast. And I think this is just a little bit more accessible with, you see, the hypercars not having features such as ABS out there on track. The man to beat is currently Norbert D. Wild. Kylian Lutterbach still P3, however currently not really setting that time that he was hoping for. Perhaps he is ever so slightly improving on it, just about by a tenth of a second though, although that margin seems to be swerving around a little bit. Cedric Abiad is going to get out there on track as Michael Bauer, who has ever dropped so slightly after not having improved his lap for quite a while now. He is finding himself over in P6, which is still a great start position, obviously on the third row. And the main thing that you obviously want to be avoiding here is all the chaos that you have. And I think as long as you do that, you will be totally fine out there, because the most chaos usually happens at the start when all these drivers are very compact and pretty close together. That is where it becomes more difficult for these drivers to, you know, escape and really settle. But if they are able to just get past that initial chaos, you can usually get quite the lead build up. And those faster drivers that do get caught up in it, they might pick up damage or any other delay, giving yourself a little bit of a bigger chance to really get out there in clean air and do what you need to do. Sebastian Hazen is going to try and cross the line again. Can he improve his time up to P3 provisionally? Is that what he's going to score? We await as he crosses the line, and that's exactly where he's going to land. He does that. Patrick has also really established himself now, and it is currently the BMW M4 GT3 Evos that have put themselves over on a, so far, quite dominant top 3 here. Though Kylian Lutterbach is close by, he's dropped to 4th as a result of Patrick Siska putting out those quick laps out there in this qualifying session, and time is soon to be over. Just about 3 minutes left. And with Kylian Lutterbach still out there trying to improve on his laps, of course, he's currently pretty close to what he usually drives. So in that sense, he can really make this work. And in the background, we've actually seen some collisions here of some of these slower GT3 drivers, the drivers that are more in the midfield and all the way to the back. So yeah, if you're having incidents during a qualifying session, you're really not making it easier for yourself. I think that is a given, obviously, to any broadcast here. But yes, currently the order has not changed much here. We see Michael Silvernagel, who's able to improve his lap time. Max Griese is also now ahead of him. So we see Michael Bauer just ever so slightly dropping off here. Now in 7th position, with Tom Clancy coming pretty close to his time now. Just a 10th off in the best scoring, or actually the 2nd best scoring Chevrolet Corvette, as Kilian Lutterbach will take a stunner of a lap in. Improves significantly on his lap, but only 7 thousandths quicker of a second. So only just about on pole position, which means that Norbert Diebau can try and give it his all to improve. And those BMWs so quick out there. I mean, 4 out of 5 cars in the top 5 are currently the BMWs. The only exception then being the current pole sitter, Kilian Lutterbach, but it's a car that he has been with for, I think, multiple seasons now. If I recall correctly, it's really a car that he's comfortable with. As we move on, we gotta see what can happen here. So far, so good, it must have been. This is Daniele Gattani. That we were swiftly aboard with. Vincent Valenzuela has got a long way to go if he were to make any presence in this qualifying session. Just really hasn't been a session. Now, still 2 drivers out there, Beto Lorente and Thibaut Raffio, both drivers that we know can drive at least the sub-top and sometimes even top of the field. They haven't set a single qualifying lap. They're currently stuck there waiting. Maybe just hanging out at the bar, who knows, but at least they haven't set a valid lap time yet, and are currently both of them in the pits, so they're not going to be able to get out there with the current limited time, which means that they'll be staying at the back of the field, or at least the back of their class. Obviously, they'll try and push the GT3s ahead if they can, because the last thing you want to do is have the slower TCRs start ahead. And yeah, that is what it's looking like right now. When we have a handful of drivers driving the wrong way. Yeah, time's almost over, but that's that now for at least Michael Subbenagel. And Roberto Lorente also disconnecting from the server. Kilian Lutterbach back in the pit box. He's currently in 1st, followed by Norbert Diebau, who was set the fastest in sector 1 and 2 times now, and is actually still on the lap to improve, and he might be allowed to finish that too, I think. But time is over, and we are into overtime. Norbert Diebau wanting to make the most out of it, obviously. Alan Cherie then, last attempt. Might be able to improve then. Crosses the line one more time. And will it be an improvement? Yes, but ever so slightly. Now, Thibaut Raffio ended up setting a lap at the end there. It wasn't a quick one. It's only valid lap out there. Robert Diebau now will most likely go past, and indeed he does. Beautiful stuff. Takes purple in both Sector 1 and Sector 2. Was a little bit slower in Sector 3, but it doesn't matter. The BMW has stolen away pole position here. And there seems to be no one out there that can really make it happen. No, Sebastian Haas is finished with his lap, so he's not going to be improving. That of the gas is back in the pits, and Glacy, as he's going to cross the line, think should just stay P9 here with the time. Yeah, indeed, it's not going to improve. There's simply no way that that fits. Therefore, we kind of have our order as it stands then. Norbert Diebau starting on pole position, followed by Kilian Lutterbach and Patrick Siska. And then, obviously, we also have the TCR cars, and the pole position there is for Fabian Klein, followed by Ingo Werner and Christiana Schreiber in P3. Ladies and gentlemen, we are off for a little bit of a break. We'll be back as soon as the race starts.
The atmosphere, the people here around are so passionate, so it's incredible.
I get goosebumps every time I see this.
The Nürburgring is really a very special place, and it's a very difficult place.
It's very, very good to have all these fans back here in the home of motorsport.
This atmosphere, it's the calm before the storm.
The atmosphere, the people here around are so passionate, so it's incredible.
I get goosebumps every time I see this.
The Nürburgring is really a very special place, and it's a very difficult place.
So it's very, very good to have all these fans back here in the home of motorsport.
I love this atmosphere. It's the calm before the storm.
Alright, okay, we are about to get going. I just wanted to give you a quick update. Safety car coming out. Safety car will now overtake all the cars, and then we get going. So stay with us here, just gonna be another couple minutes. When we get going, indeed, the GT3s have now started driving. We've also obviously got all the well, one GT3 at least, starting from the pit by the looks of it, so that will be interesting. Over Dewald on provisional pole, obviously once the safety car comes in. As it stands, it will be quite a challenge here for drivers like Max Griese or Michael Silber to get into this. Michael Silbernagel, of course, and you know they've still got a long way to go. Safety car obviously will be the one to watch there. No matter what, it won't be easy. Almost all these drivers now getting out there. Bastian Haas currently in P5. He's trying to make the most out of it. Over Dewald. Keep in mind, those positions are obviously not really accurate. with all the TV cars and such getting out there. So just ignore those for a second, especially when that safety car will come in at the end of the lap. Obviously, we're kind of split up in the GT3 group being at the front, then we have the TCR group in the back, which will be difficult. So here we go. We are officially underway. We have a drive-through for Vincent Valenzuela, which is not a great start either. GT3s are underway. The TCRs obviously need to follow, and oh, that's a big one. That's a very, very big crash for some of these drivers. Obviously hard to see who actually did make it through. Patrick Siska is one of the drivers that definitely took a big hit. Michael Bowers also dropped over 10 positions. Fabian Klein leading the TCR class. That's obviously a smaller class. We still see some drivers coming off though. Not pretty, not preeny at all. And there's the red flag coming out. Yeah, I think that was to be expected here. We're going to have to do that again. Kian Lutterback. Just shame, really, because he had a good start. So now we all head back to the pits here, and then we get ready for a restart, which is obviously a procedure that takes a while. Unless, of course, we just go and have a reset there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna just quickly wait that out, and when we get ready, then I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
The atmosphere, the people here around are so passionate, so it's incredible.
I get goosebumps every time I see this.
The Nürburgring is really a very special place, and it's a very difficult place.
It's very, very good to have all these fans back here in the home of motorsport.
love this atmosphere. It's the calm before the storm.
The atmosphere, the people here around are so passionate, so it's incredible.
I get goosebumps every time I see this.
The Nürburgring is really a very special place, and it's a very difficult place.
So it's very, very good to have all these fans back here in the home of motorsport.
All right, we're about to get going again. A little bit of a weird one here. And had some technical issues to go with it. But we should just be alright now, by the looks of it. Under the safety car, we're about to get going. Now let's see how this goes then. We are about to get underway. Here we go again. No overtaking before the line, of course. Leader decides the pace, and that's where it almost went wrong. Well, there we go. We are now on the way. Benjamin Villeck's gotten a jump start there as the pace then finally coming. A little bit of a weird start. You can see definitely cut some drivers out. We're very wide into the beginning of this. Robert Devon makes it through. We have a handful of drivers going wide, but by the looks of it, at least most make the corner this time. So that should be a little bit better, although I say that there's been some incident here. And yeah, now all the TCRs coming through. You've lost that position overall. So yeah, good luck getting it back. And there's another red flag after that, unfortunately. It just really isn't going the way that it's supposed to, is it? And well, that means one more thing we're gonna get back into again. So yeah, stay tuned as we will soon resume the race, hopefully again. But this is just really not gone their way. Shame there, it's costing a viable race time, and yeah, just too many incidents happening out at once, which is a shame because usually the driving standards are so good. This time around, however, they've really struggled. So let us just take a small break. And when we get going again, I will be sure to let you know. In the meanwhile, let's have a look at the trailer for The Beast, because I think that's definitely something worth looking at.
The atmosphere, the people here around are so passionate, so it's incredible.
I get goosebumps every time I see this.
The Nürburgring is really a very special place, and it's a very difficult place.
So it's very, very good to have all these fans back here in the home of motorsport.
atmosphere. It's the calm before the storm.
The atmosphere, the people here around are so passionate, so it's incredible.
I get goosebumps every time I see this.
The Nürburgring is really a very special place, and it's a very difficult place.
So it's very, very good to have all these fans back here in the home of motorsport.
I love this atmosphere. It's the calm before the storm.
All right, let's get going again. We are here, and it is time to start. And even though it was a little bit sloppy, we have managed to make it work now. now that we're underway, let's see how this goes then. Yeah, it is a very difficult start. And yeah, we have seen some drive-through coming through. This time, Robert Dewald has made it through the first couple corners. Patrick Siska this time also having a little bit of a better start, and at least compared to last time around when he crashed out. So yeah, or got crashed out rather. I don't really know what happened there, to be honest. Fabian Klein already having taken such a big lead here. Vincent Valenzuela this time is actually quite lucky they didn't pick up the drive-through this time around just yet. We do see some drive-throughs being applied, and they said that they were going to penalize a little bit heavier. So yeah, that might have to be the call here. Anthony Matas here having to defend is actually just going to give up the spot by the looks of things, so just taking it a little bit easier. Maybe he's picked up some other issue of some sort, but it didn't look like it. So here we look to go again. Now as we look to go again. It all looks a little bit smoother from here. So Jonathan Fiedelack's trying to settle out. He's made a small mistake there. Everybody's made it through just a lot better this time around, really. That's all that I've got to say. This is Patrick Siska that we're watching. Trying to get close up, as obviously for now it's focusing on the GT3 racing here. You're not getting a lot of traffic underway for now. As we look to go again. Yeah, it just looks quite the more smooth, although we see Andre Hannes going off track there a little bit here, but that's no big deal for now. So we look to go again. Here we go then. It all seems good, yeah. Now, a little bit of a curb jump there for many drivers. We also see Jonathan Fiedelack picking up a little bit of a penalty. And Sayan Gosarma there is going to be lucky that he survives that scare, really. Obviously, it could have looked very different here for so many of them, really. Now that we look to go again. Siska. A solid race, but Norbert Dewald currently is the one to watch. Johannes Schreiber trying to do his thing. See, Fabian Klein was the one to watch, and that really hasn't looked to come around. On the Hawk in the probably my favorite touring car here, the Toyota Corolla. Obviously mods always brought upon us by AC Friends. We have some pretty high quality mods always worth checking out, and the battle obviously for the TCR spots will be one that we need to have a look at. Cedric Abbiati here is going to try and maybe get a lunge going on the Audi, but not for this corner at least, so he's just going to wait a little bit longer, but he did have the straight line speed. Obviously that's also where a car like the Ford Mustang really excels, isn't it? So you can be happy with that, I think. Still a long way to go for many of these drivers, trying to make the most out of it, of course, if they can. Cedric Abbiati, was he trying to make the most out of it? But still got a long way to go, you know. It's just one of those races where the field kind of really splits up rather quickly. And from that point, you really got to decide, you know, what is worth it, what isn't worth it. From Canal is in that Renault Megane, also a car that you don't get to see very often, so see what he can do. As we go in, this is currently how it's looking, at least. But we just gotta see everything is possible, of course. As we later just come in it. Just gotta see what can happen, of course. Sebastian Haase here trying to make a run for it, trying to get further up if he possibly can. Sebastian Haase is going to try and get there in time. To back, obviously the one to watch there. Norbert Dewald's really the lucky one here, but it's once again just dominance from the BMWs. Kilian Lutterbach. Currently in second place, and these slower TCRs are already getting into the way of things. And that's only playing into Sebastian Haas, because look at how much he has to lift here. Yeah, and then the move could just be sent around, and that's just so unfortunate. But that's all part of this kind of racing, this multi-class racing. However, you still got to send the move down the inside. He goes, and oh, there's contact with the TCR, and it's Kilian Lutterbach that gets spun around like that. And the rule of that is always pretty simple. You just got to keep him racing, and unfortunately, that didn't come around. And oh no, there's more contact, and he goes up again. Oh, that's just a nightmare for Kilian Lutterbach. Look at how many spaces he's lost here too. Just incredibly unfortunate here. Not much that could be done about it anymore though, as we're getting close to that 1 hour mark. Is still 60 minutes left to go, in which anything can happen. Obviously, we're gonna see those pit stops come in later. But it's been so difficult, let's be honest here. Max Grease is just in this P4 right now, and it's to make something happen, of course. Michael Silvanagel also just has that contact then, and sees that more and more drivers are trying to push through now. Keep in mind that there's some back markers into this too, so yeah, Marcus Schoen isn't, of course, but this might just become really, really tricky. Alexander Erbanen in the Honda Civic has definitely been involved in quite a bit of drama. That's safe to say, I think. Yeah, it hasn't been easy on any of the drivers really, and don't get me wrong, this track obviously being quite a difficult one too. Now look at this, Marco Convertini currently in P17. Trying to get back to Noah Cherie, and now you can just see those back markers just being in the way, and I think that's actually a pretty smart move there by the TCR. And a great way to get out of there. Just like this, we continue. And wait. More yet to come, but yeah, sounds like Gusarm is one that we're watching out for. Side by side here. Do we see that the Porsche is daring enough to outbrake here? Or are we going to see the Audi come back around the outside, side by side into turn one? A little bit wide then. Those things can happen when you're racing, and the Porsche now once again going at it, but we swap away to see Max Grant start dealing with the traffic here. He should try and see if he could get ahead of Nolan Cherie by a fair margin, but obviously that GT3 down there is still too far to send down the lunch on that TCR, so it's going to cost them a little bit of time. You need to wait for the slower cornering speed. The TCRs, that's where they lose the most, it feels like. Front wheel drive and also quite understeery, depending on car setup, of course. And look at this, Thibaut Raffio is really trying to get with Jan Emmons here. Obviously he's moved up a handful of positions, but not nearly enough to really get close to a top 5 position as of now. The more time he spends behind Jan Emmons, the longer it's going to take. But But we'll at least make for a good battle here. That is one thing that is for certain at least. But yeah, exciting stuff ahead here. So it continues. Robert D-Bounce currently, however, is fastest. And Emmons there gets a penalty, so that means on paper he's lost that position most definitely. But T-Wild here just also dealing with that lap traffic. He's already lapping drivers here with just 55 minutes in. We see a long pits there for Reto Laurenti, who's going to be kicking himself because obviously he wanted to have a good result this race. And, well, that's really limited his progress there. Obviously still not a driver that's doing too great all this race. P29 overall is where he's stuck. And, yeah, he already has it so hard in here. And now that's just going to really finish any dreams that he had to begin with of making a comeback. In fact, he's behind many of those TCR drivers at the moment. The gap stays similar. Marcus Schoen still battling with Max Griese. That's a battle to watch. In fact, Schoen's now overtaken Max Griese, I believe. And yeah, if we have a look at the live timing, that is indeed the case. So we're going to see those being swapped around here, but also this battle between these two drivers will be interesting to watch there. Jan Emmons with a bit of contact there with Thibaut Ruffieux. Obviously the penalty is in there for Emmons. So on paper, it is obviously the Audi that is ahead already. This is now the battle between Marcus Schoen and Max Griese, who has lost that position. He definitely had it to begin with, but unfortunately now he doesn't. Look to see what else we could come in there. Look to see again just how that goes. Now though, this is all alright. Anything goes, anything can still happen. Max Griese here, P4. Obviously abusing the fact that he's in clean air, but he's still got to worry about drivers behind him, obviously. Michael Silvernago also trying to get involved in that battle, for example. And just once again, it shows just how incredible those GT3s have been. Obviously, it's a little bit unfortunate to see the downfall, really, if I could call it that, of Kilian Lutterbach with the two contacts that he made, because we know that he has the pace to really get in there, but unfortunately just hasn't. Maybe more opportunities will come though. I mean, we just gotta see, but yeah, not the look that he wanted to have, and we see more penalties being applied here. So the live stewarding here is pretty strict, which I think is a very good thing. If you want the standards to come out, it will say stop and go 10 seconds for a dangerous rejoin. An unsafe rejoin, as we usually call that. Yeah, I mean, for Laurenti, he's had it rough. I mean, he's got 25 seconds of penalty that he's gotten over time. 5 seconds for causing a collision, and twice he had an unsafe rejoin that cost him 10 seconds each. But all things aside, it's been a lot clearer than we have seen in the beginning, and obviously also have that automated system in place when it comes to the cutting, so we will see that some of these penalties are actually handed out automatically. So they just need to focus on the unsafe contacts, or well, just the contacts, the unsafe rejoins, all things like that that don't really always mean that they have contact. But yeah, those are the kind of races that they need to try and do it smartly with. And you know, I think it's fair to say that they've done a massive job at it so far. Are also trying to make the most out of it, of course. And obviously we look to come in, and currently all is good. Have Sain Gursara here currently stuck, unfortunately for him. Good to see what else we can see him come in. Jonathan Fidelak obviously would love to also go the distance here. Jonathan Fidelak here wanting to make the most out of it. Now, what else we could be seeing here? I'm trying to have a look at it. Look at the penalties coming through, including this drive-through for cutting the track. Now, that's one of those automated penalties that you'll see throughout, as Jonathan Fidelak forces his way through this traffic here. Does so nicely because it's obviously not easy. Looking to come off it here. And Lutterback wants to make something work here, obviously. And Lutterback just doing exactly what he wants, and that's just pushing on. This is Fabian Klein we're watching, still the driver that's fastest in the TCR class. Now, obviously, I think that was to be expected. He's been absolutely brilliant with it so far, and yeah, just nobody's been able to beat him to it. In some way, I'm not surprised, because that's exactly what we've been seeing all season so far. Just very much consistent performances from him. Fabian Klein still being the main man to watch in the TCR class. Obviously very competitive in the previous season of the Nürburgring eSports Championship. So to see him out here again and performing well was no surprise, but this time choosing the underdog class, way less popular of course, and look at just the aggressive sense here. Alexander Erben really needs to be careful here sometimes with all these fast GT3s coming through, because they are absolutely ruthless. Quite tricky cars to deal with in that sense. Michael Bauer in P7. Jonathan Fidelak in P9. Hugo Raffieux is slowly but surely moving up the ranks as we saw before, and it's mainly just the qualifying session that has really cost him. Because I think there was way more potential in that, and he obviously knows that too. So yeah, he's still got a long way to go. And he'll try to make something work with it. I know that he will. Currently just unfortunately not there, and that's a little bit of a shame because we knew that it would have been possible otherwise. But yeah, I think for now just too far gone to really contend for, let's say, a top 3. However, still looking to get good points here this series, and with so much traffic in the way, it might just feed him pretty well. This is Jonathan Fidlak we are aboard with, chasing said Thibaut Ruffieux. Past all this slower traffic, which of course is pretty difficult to navigate sometimes. Everybody knows it too, but they're just trying to make the most out of it, of course. And 45 seconds left here, as we see a long pits being handed out to Benjamin Fidlak by the looks of it. That's, I think, an automated penalty too, if I'm not mistaken. There we see a disqualification. Not taking the stop and go. Yeah, that is incredibly rough because your race is just over then. Saying Gusaro was either missed it or decided not to serve it. Alexander Hawk going a little bit wider into the corner. Probably the trickiest corner because you're kind of driving it blindly almost. Alexander Erbenir currently in P31 and in his class, kind of towards the bottom 2 unfortunately, but he has been involved in a handful of incidents, and I must say I can't recall whether he's had a penalty or not. I believe that he's been relatively clean. He's had 5 seconds in total for causing a collision earlier on in the race, so not really a big deal in that regard. As we look to go edit here. A little bit over 40 seconds to go then this race. 40 minutes left to go this race. Obviously it is 40 minutes, not seconds here. Well, the race has been going on for a while, of course, but these are 75-minute races, so they're rather long and actually require a bit of strategy and planning regarding your pit stops. Now, I'm almost a guy that likes to serve them early, but could play around with it a little bit, but you should not be able to make it on a full stint with the fuel that you are allowed to take. Here's we see Leonard from Canal coming through. Getting another back in that 4th position. Obviously trying to drive a little bit of a comeback here, and currently his next target will be Patrick Siska, but it's about 7 seconds between the two, so it's going to be a while until he's actually had the opportunity to come close to him, with Patrick Siska currently also setting in those faster lap times, and maybe more to worry about the driver behind him, because on about 2 seconds behind, Kilian Utterback is being chased by Max Gries de Blauw, but he is battling with Michael Silbernagel, who is right behind him in that BMW M4 GT3, so maybe not looking forward as much as he would like to be, and mainly looking in his mirrors to see when the man's going to come with an attack. And Michael Silbernagel, I think, has been a positive surprise for me this race. He's been fairly consistent and might actually be good for a top 5 here. Max Gries is also going to be happy because it hasn't really gone his way this season, also having missed a handful of rounds, and that's just made it incredibly rough from him. 40 minutes left to go here. We see more penalties coming through there. We have a cutting penalty for Nolan Cherie for cutting the track, and that for sure will not help him trying to make the most out of this race here in Portugal, when Anthony Montestan is going to serve that drive-through. that will put him back to order, obviously. Currently set in P18 overall, which is still ahead of all the TCRs, luckily, so shouldn't be worried about traffic in his current lap. But Michael Silbernagle we are aboard with. We see that Max Grease is currently setting up that pace a little bit better than he is. And it's a solid run for Michael Silbernagle then, but right now not really getting that slipstream in here. We might see him creep forward here. Yeah, the slipstream effect's definitely playing in here. You see him getting closer and closer. Maybe the exit was also just a little bit better out of the corner. I think that's the more likely explanation, as Chandler Fidlak is still battling with Thibaut Ruffieux here, currently set in P8. $40 minutes left to go here. It's safe to say Fidlak has had a good driver to try and keep up with. Consistent lap times coming through for Jonathan Fidlak and Thibaut Ruffieux. As Patrick Siska currently set in P3. Obviously trying to drive forward whenever he has the opportunity to go for it, but that's going to be a tricky one, of course, and they know this too. Sebastian Haas, once again, a very consistent driver. Although the fastest lap we've seen from both of the drivers actually has been by Patrick Siska. But it doesn't always tell the full story, of course, and this time around we see that it's a quite slow lap coming in from Sebastian Haas here, so that gap is slowly but surely shrink a little bit here. Currently you can see the gap between them. Haas is still well ahead and well ahead of slipstream distance. That's the most important part here. With traffic now obviously still going in a way because there is that Hyundai in the way here. He took quite a shallow exit there of that corner, so TCR traffic doing a good job staying out of the way. It's Felix Affeldt that we are aboard with now. We see Maximis picking up a penalty, a long pit penalty. It's always a little bit of a rough and just add some extra time to a pit stop then that you need to serve. Michael Bauer in P7, that's kind of where he's been all around. It's where he qualified in P6, I believe, and then dropped one position since, and that's just kind of been looking at that consistently. Thibaut Ruffieux not really being a threat. He's also got his own things to worry about, of course, in the form of Jan Emmons, Jonathan Fidlak, and all those drivers that are right behind. But especially it is Jonathan Fidlak, of course, who is currently consistently close. As we see Cedric Abiadi is going to come in for his pit, trying to just make the most out of the current position as it stands. Lacey in P11. Next Grandson drive we are about with Leonard Canal in his Renault is also going to pick up a long pit penalty, the only Renault out on track. Gunsner here stuck behind a TCR for now. And the Katani. Currently P13. And it is still, we'll see Norbert Dewell, the man we haven't really giving much attention because he's just been doing his own thing all alone in P1, currently 10 seconds to the nearest driver. And Sebastian Haas was obviously trying to catch up through the last 35 minutes of this race, but it's just, it feels like a mission impossible sometimes. Cedric Abbiati then. We also see a penalty being applied to Thibaut Raffio, a rough one at that. The driver who's done such a comeback. That will definitely make things just a little bit harder here. And that is for moving under braking apparently. So yeah, they are paying close attention to whatever's happening out there on track. That's, I think, just great to see too. Cherie also trying to come out there, of course, whenever he has the opportunity. So let's see as Vincent Valenzuela is also going to get a long pit applied. Penalties are incredibly harsh. Bastianaz here dealing with that traffic rather swiftly. Obviously, everybody also knows that they're making this just a little bit tough in that way. Jonathan Finlay wanting to make something work here. Felix Affeldt currently still on a provisional podium position. Utilizing the most of that Hyundai TCR, one of my favorites, and he's been doing a good job at keeping it all together here. Just got that one job and he's doing exactly that. Felix Affeldt then just needs to do one thing, and that's keep us clean, as we see long pits for Christian Schreiber. That's a driver you usually expect at the top. Right now he's a little bit further down than he would like to be, obviously. Still, everything's all good in that regard. Norbert just wanting to make something work here. Kilian Lutterbach just doing his thing. Norbert Dewald in P7 right now. Obviously he's dropped down a little bit here, but Siska taking over that lead. Also, of course, got to do with how the drivers are planning their pit stops, because nobody's surviving this full 75-minute race without pitting at least once. And Jan Emmons now also picking up a long pits here. So yeah, the automated penalties are really coming in. Makes me think that the track limits are quite tough. That is a given here. Siska then the current leader of the race, so they'll take that with a grain of salt because he's obviously yet to come in. Norbert Dewald has pitted, then so has Sebastian Haas, and Daniele Gattani has, and he's in P6, so that's going to be just great. Actually P7 now, no sorry he hasn't, it's actually just about that they moved on the live feed, that's why. Siska, Subanego and Fitlack are yet to come in, so they're going to drop down the order here as long pits is applied to Sebastian Haas by the looks of things, and he's at P5, so he's going to be kicking himself because that is obviously not the result that he would have wanted then. Just doing what he needs. Good runs coming through. Safeld in P23 for now. Safeld just making sure that he holds on. 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane here for Cedric Abiadi. That's a little bit of a tough penalty, because that's absolutely avoidable. You have this pit speed, and everybody knows that you have that pit speed that you just need to oblige to no matter what. And obviously 10 seconds then for Pitlack will not make things easier for him, because he currently is in P3 yet to pit, and then he's also got 10 seconds on top of it. So yeah, chances that he had for a good result just kind of seems to spiral a little bit then. Fortunately for him. And so it begins. Gattani also picking up a long pits penalty, and it just shows how incredibly hard-working some of our marshals are. They're doing a great job at that, I must admit. And then on top of that, you have the automated penalties, which for sure don't make things easier. That is one thing that is for certain. Jant wanting to make something work. Alexander Haag would like to do that too. So this is just how it stands right now. Jan trying to pick up the pace whenever he has that opportunity. Seeing what he can do in a position like this. Jant also wanting to make something work. Of course, if he could. Jant wanting to just spend his time maybe a little bit pressing forward, but Alexander Evans still quite far away, so he's not able to catch up immediately. That's gonna take some time, of course, too. It's Marco Convertini's trying to make the most out of his run in the Aston Martin. A very popular car in this series, so good to see it out on track. Obviously, it has a very distinct kind of low sound. Alberto Lorente is right behind. Over to watch, but that's some tough results, especially with 25 seconds of penalty in total. It's just not going to help out with whatever good pace you has, because the lap times that he's putting in are actually quite alright, I must admit. So tough luck there, unfortunately for him. McLaren there. Oh, there's contact being made there. Oh no, that's surely going to be looked at. We have Siska on a long pits penalty. So obviously he's come in, and that's going to push him down the order just a little bit more. Than we have Michael Silbernagel and Jonathan Findlake yet to pit, but they are both slower than Norbert Dewald, so don't worry about those positions being swapped around again a little bit later then. That is just how things are looking, of course. This is then just how it all looks then. It is still kind of the expected order here, really. Arenta has picked up a 5-second penalty again, of course. That's just yeah, how that looks, obviously. That is just then what else there's in there? Not much, at least. Silbernagel still leading the race until he comes in with 20 minutes to go. It's not going to be forever that he can stay here, really. Unfortunately for him, of course. Norbert Dewald in P3 right now. Norbert Dewald then doing exactly what he needs to. Time will eventually get away on us, obviously. finish just to see how that goes. And so far, so good, really. So looking right, we see Norbert Dewald picking up 5 seconds, of course, for causing a Dewald then still EMP free. Of course, for the time being, with the pit stops, just really making it a matter of time until that really gets changed around again. So it doesn't always mean it, but yeah, it is. It gives you a good kind of idea about how that looks really. Cedric Gaviati with the long pits penalty then. Which once again something out at the top of it. Doesn't make it any easier. So it goes then. And yeah, you know, it's just Robert Dewald here. He's been in a great race so far. Daniele Catali is going to get another drive issue, or well, drive through, sorry. So it stands. Robert Dewald then just picking up the pace yet again. That's all that he can and must really do in a position like this. Dewald already back to that second position now that Sebastian Haas has taken in the pits, but there's roughly a minute here for Jonathan Fiedler, which is quite significant, of course. But yeah, with all the penalties coming out, don't know how it will look, but yeah, probably not the greatest at least. Dewald probably isn't that worried about it. Just needs to drive his own laps and let the gap come to him. I mean, that's, we'll see just how that comes down. Pit times, of course, will vary, but you need to at least refuel. It's a given, and who knows what it will look like now that we have Jonathan Fiedler into the pits. And that's, of course, where we need to put our full attention to see how that kind of resettles itself. Something still happening in the background that we don't get to witness on screen. As Marcus shown, we are aboard with trying to get away from Silbernego, as that was to be expected. As Norbert Dewald will inherit the lead here rather soon. The gaps are being so minor. And indeed, there he goes, just ahead of it now. Obviously try and increase that gap. I assume that he's smart enough to not bring tires into this, but just doing his own thing. in that way. Just what was needed then. And not all that bad, I must say. Marcus Schoen obviously in P6, just trying to make the most out of it whenever he can. Marcus Schoen here, oh look at that, just so tight, and you know, very smartly played there, losing the position then eventually, but yeah, that was very smart by the BMW then. Is now ahead, of course, Michael Silbenegger pushing through, Jonathan Villak having served his long pits. And there's the contact between Marcus Schoen and Michael Silbenegger. Oh no, that's going to cost him, and that is just so incredibly rough right there. That should have been it, but unfortunately, it's really come back to bite here. Unfortunately. Robert Dewalt leading the race. This most likely gonna finish it off in dominant fashion. Obviously 12 minutes left to go. Done exactly as he needs. Just a smooth performance no matter how you look at it. Marcus Schoen picking up 5 seconds, so he has been held accountable for the incident that we just saw. Tough on him, but for causing a collision, he gets that. I think I saw another driver standing still. Alexander Hawk in P21 still up for a good position here. More penalties being handed out in the meanwhile. Werner then trying to make the most out of it, of course, if he can, possibly. Felix Affeld in P26. Max Grease in P7, still a solid, stable round, but maybe had a little bit more potential if staying trouble-free, of course. this will have to do, and it's definitely not the worst. Max Grease trying to make the most out of it then. Beto Barrente obviously having to deal with these hefty penalties has not had an easy job at all. And so it stands then. So not all too bad here at all. So it all comes around. Siska in P2 still and a good result. I mean, the gap's only still just a little bit less than 3 seconds, so I'm not saying it's impossible, because it most definitely isn't. Back in P4, I think we'll be quite satisfied, because he's obviously been fluctuating up and down a little bit, but we'll be very happy with how it has all come in and all come through. I think safe to say that the results are plenty good this time around, and well, given that we weren't expecting anything else. That's where it will all go. Using Haas looking to coming rounds. Michael Silbernagel is so as well. Who obviously has had that incident that's really cost him here really the opportunities to catch up, but somehow still finds himself glued to the back of Marcus Schoen again. That's where obviously we saw the contact coming in just a little bit earlier, unfortunately. Silbernagel's just trying to focus up on finishing on the race, and if he can get that position to get into the top 5, that'd be nice. And we see Alexander Erben picking up a 5-second penalty. And that is also for causing a collision. And that's not the first time that's happened this race. Picked up 5 seconds earlier in the race. Which at this point sure is almost an hour ago. It's a little bit less, about 40 to 50 minutes. But still, it just does kind of end on top of it. And yeah, it has just been Fabian Klein leading in the TCR class with very little changes. Obviously, we've got Christian Schreiber right behind him, and right behind 44 seconds, and then Alexander Haag right behind that. He's been one to watch, and oh, there's almost contact again. Sean keeps the car going. Oh, that was a scary one. I can't tell whether it is Silbernager being so aggressive there, or Marcus Schoen just maybe not braking in a way that is predictable, but it doesn't seem like it's very far. Sure, it's a little bit earlier than you need if you're driving on the absolute limit, but it wasn't a weird position of braking. At least that's what it felt like to me. Sebastian Haase in P2. Still wants to gain 2 seconds is currently the gap between them. We've crossed that 5-minute mark now, so time is almost over. Definitely still possible here. Well then, just trying to keep that pace up, and it's absolutely necessary that he does so. So it then currently stands, of course. We see just pushing through the traffic, but it's cost them a little bit of time. They're getting past that TCR. It just kind of makes it happen. So it comes to a climax. Still possible, of course. Norbert Dewald just needs to try and remain calm here. Sebastian Haas has been on a flyer the past couple laps, and we see that the pace is slowly going away, and that might have to do with just the way that the tires are currently behaving for him. So that is not making it easy. Behind him it's Patrick Siska, which doesn't currently have the pace to really get that last step in, it feels like, but so far so good. The rest is all okay. Norbert Dewald just wanting to make the most out of that whenever he has the opportunity to. There is a drive-through for Marcus Schoen. this is then how it currently looks. Norbert Dewalt leading. Time is almost up, and he's going to take that win then immediately. Just about times it well. Norbert Dewalt takes that victory here. Just over Sebastian Haase. And Patrick Siska will come in third. I think a great result for all those drivers involved there. And it should just be Kilian Utterback that has finished in behind him now. But behind that, it's still a little bit more exciting. But Norbert Dewalt does it. Martini picking up a drive through at the end there. That's kind of unfortunate, I must admit. But oh well. It's just what happens. So he goes all the way in there. A great result for him, and he's going to take that, obviously. Just be the results. And yeah, they're all going to be happy with this. See a great result, no matter how you look at it. There it is, and Norbert Dewalt. Oh, he's gotten a 5-second penalty. That will shake things up. So Sebastian Haase might just take it once all penalties are applied. And it was actually only 600ths of a second, or else would have had another lap. Laurentiis gonna pick up another one. Penalties just all being applied right now to the final time, and that's really gonna shake things up then. Win is there for Fabian Klein, however, that was to be expected. Johannes Schreiber will cross the line in second place. Of course, we'll have a look at everything just in case. That's just how that looks. Just be that then. Great result, no matter how you look at it. And a great race, very spectacular. Max Schön's going to pick up another penalty. Lana for Canal to cross the finish. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream as much as I have. Thank you once again to the guys over at Nürburgring eSports for having me on. And next up, of course, I will be back in the next round too. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Of course, more to find about it is on the website of Nürburgring eSports. And as for now, I'm going to say thank you guys all so much for tuning in today. And I will see you guys later. Have a good rest of your night.